Good morning, everybody, and welcome. It is your host, Patricia Tomlinson, and you're welcome to today's podcast. Today, I'm going to highlight a couple things that have been going on, as well as touch on today's episode. So, I want to welcome you. I hope everybody had an amazing weekend. It is currently Sunday, and I am in my house spending some quiet time with myself that was really needed. And I believe that was the inspiration for today's podcast. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Do not forget to share this podcast with someone that you believe that it may help. Also, do not forget to subscribe for upcoming podcasts that will be available in the near future. Thank you to everyone that recently supported my latest book release. I am going to go ahead and go into more detail at a later date as to the journey that it took me to write this book. However, it is available on Amazon, so you're more than welcome to go and purchase as well as share the content with somebody. I always say make sure that you are sharing the good news with other people. There are so many things that are going on right now, so many people that are battling with issues of anxiety and fear, lack of faith, lack of motivation, so many lacks in this time, despite their own personal needs that need to be met. So I always want to give some sort of inspiration to you guys. So I always say make sure that you share the podcast and the blogs if you are able to. So welcome to today's podcast. Today I want to talk about a subject that really is a vulnerable subject for me, especially as a woman that has, let's just say, minimal alliances in this hour of my life. So, this subject is very important to me, and I absolutely understand that I am going through it for a reason. So, it is not for me to keep it private, it is for me to address it at an appropriate time, shall we say. So, today I wanted to title this podcast For the Strong. Um, I consider myself to be a very strong woman. I consider myself to be extremely open minded, strong, and full of capacity to achieve the things that God has placed on my heart to do, which it is a lot. I mean, they said, to whom much is given, much is required. So, of course, a lot of times when you're a strong person, you have a lot of requirements. You have a lot of things that require your attention or discipline and dedication. And of course, we all know and understand that when you start or embark on a new journey in your life, opposition is going to come. Confusion might even show up. Fear might even show up. However, one of the main things that I am starting to see would be distractions. I mean, of course, the enemy does know your weaknesses or areas that you struggle in. So, of course, he's going to send whatever it is to deter you or keep you from doing what it is that God has called you to do, or things that are on your heart, or to actually slow your momentum down to the point where He may put problems or obstacles or even people in your life that will weigh you down to the point where you'll sit there like, man, I had such of a vigor and a strength and an excitement to do this. And now I just find myself in a place where I don't want to do it at all. Sometimes when you are a strong person, you will be so heartbroken when God starts to separate or pull you away from certain people, or even give you understanding and a higher level of discernment to understand people's motives and intentions towards you. I mean, for some reason this weekend, this just really hit home for me. I started a new job. Most of you know I posted some of this on social media. After I did that, and I was glad that I did it, because normally I keep certain things very private. I only talk about certain things at a certain time when I feel like it's going to give God optimum glory, especially when you're sitting around. People think that you're not doing anything, you're not making any strides, and they continue to persist and talk about you. But you go ahead, you continue to handle your business. And then when you come out and show people, not even to show, but just reveal what God has been doing in your life, they're extremely shocked that you achieved that. Because remember, you're the one that's sitting on the couch. You're the one with no dreams, ambition, or drive to pursue anything or any determination. So, of course, after years of people seeing you in this condition, and you just pop out either with a degree, or you pop out with a new job, or you come forth with a new car, a new house, a new business, people are shocked. I am really feeling this sense and urgency as of right now, especially in my spirit, to maintain discretion. I believe that God is a manifesting God, meaning that He loves to reveal things at a certain time that will bring Himself glory. Of course, you go through opposition. Of course, you go through people hating you, literally, not just hatred for what you're doing, but literally hating you. And then at a certain time, when God starts to reveal this, it can be very heartbreaking. So, with all that being said, which is the introduction for today's podcast, which is dedicated to those people that have missions and visions and business ideas, even children that you're raising in this hour, trying to keep yourself sane, mentally strong, and continue to move forward in momentum, to not give up, to not fall away, to not wither in weariness. This podcast is dedicated to you. So we are titling it today For the Strong. This is for the strong individuals. So, as I stated, I consider myself a strong person, a strong woman with a determined mindset. And so this weekend, I found myself exhausted, like really mentally exhausted, fatigued. It felt like not so much as dehydrated, but my spirit felt like I had just given out so much more than I should have. And honestly, it felt like people came into my life to take. When God gives you a mission or a vision, a lot of times He sets you on a path that's straight and narrow to pursue it. And He narrows it down to where only certain people can fit on it. And sometimes it's literally just you because you can't walk a certain path with a lot of people. People will pull you in certain directions. You will get caught up in other people's business, other people's opinion, other people's mindset, which is very contagious. I always say this, that people's mindsets are contagious. Let me give you an example of what I mean. You ever just be with someone and they do things a certain type of way or talk in a certain type of way, and then you notice it that as you continue to be with them for long periods of time, before you know it, you don't even like the stuff that they do, but then you develop those habits the same way that they do. That's because behaviors, mindsets, whether it be through conversations or impressions, bring an influence into your life. So, with those influences, you start to act out those behaviors. We know it as saying evil communications corrupt good manners. The crazy part about it is that it doesn't always have to be evil. It might just not be for you. It might just be that you are not able to do it because of where God is trying to take you to. So it was some interesting things that happened on Friday. I mean, literally divinely aligned. It was like a momentum for God to show me certain things quickly, and I had to get it. And He didn't give me much time to grieve about the situation. He didn't even allow me to address it. He just told me what to do. And as a strong person, God is very deliberate in protecting your essence and what He puts inside of you for the mission that He will eventually have you do. So I sat and I said, you know, Lord, why do the strong die off so quickly? And He was showing me that strong people know they're strong, but the people that are around them also know that they are strong. So when you're a strong person, you have a lot of influence. You're the go-to person. People call you for advice. People call you for input. People might even call you for prayer or wisdom or knowledge, whatever your gift may be. You will receive an influx of people surrounding you for that revelation, for that insight, even possibly for a ride, even possibly, little small things, maybe to cook them dinner, maybe to go out and hang out. It could be the smallest thing, and the catchy part is that it might even be things that you yourself enjoy doing with other people. I myself am a strong person that loves conversation, to converse with other people, to for us to pick each other's brain, to talk about things and talk things out, which is basically just counseling. A lot of us have to counsel ourselves through the conversations that we have with one another. That's not necessarily so bad unless you're spending hours upon hours of doing this on the phone, which that means that it takes time away from you and what God is telling you to do. With all that being said, that means that you become irresponsible with the resources that God has given you, and time is a very important resource. So, back to my question, I asked, Why do the strong die off? And basically, he gave me a couple things that I want to share with you. Strong people have deliberate attacks designed to kill them off. And what I mean by that is sometimes it can be secret things, it can be people's motives, it can be people's intentions, it can be people taking you down their path that you're not meant to go down. It can be people coming to spend hours of time with you when you're supposed to be doing something else, which means that it serves as a distraction. It can be yourself as far as the issues that you have inwardly. However, these attacks are just not normal attacks. They are literally attacks to kill you off, to tire you out, to wear you out, to where inevitably what God has given you will not be fulfilled or completed. Which means that whatever He has given you to do, there is now a gap in that because you're not there doing it. So when I thought about this, I sat with myself over the weekend. I had a wonderful conversation with somebody, and I told her it is time to evaluate not only just myself, but the friendships and associations that I have with people. I don't care if it's family, I don't care if it's friends, I don't care what it is. You have to evaluate because sometimes the attacks and things that are coming towards you or on your life are from some of the people that are the closest to you. And it's so shocking, and the enemy intends it that way because that blow, that heartache and that pain is literally meant to kill you out so that you die off. For instance, you're dating somebody, you think everything is fine, all of a sudden they disappear, and you're like, okay, well, what happened? Heartbreak. You get into one of your family members, you thought they understood you, you thought they were gonna be there for you, they disappear and start to talk about you. Heartbreak. You go to your job, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You see some things that are not right, and it just devastates you because you love your job. Those are just a couple vague examples, but it is so much more serious than that because all of these things are aimed with the intention to inevitably break your heart so much to the point where you're focused on your pain and not on your purpose or your passion. I was thinking this weekend about Selena. For some reason, I was thinking about Selena, and I don't know why, but I remember as a little girl, I used to watch that movie, and I never knew her, and she wasn't even alive, I think, at the time that I was. Maybe I was just super, super young. But I was thinking about Selena and how she was so beautiful, and she had so many things, but it didn't seem like those things necessarily mattered to her. It was more about the love that she had around her, the support, and she was such of a good role model to young girls and an inspiration. And I thought about how the lady that was jealous of her got close to her in order to steal from her. And inevitably, she took her life because when she was found out, she couldn't take the guilt of what she had done. But while she was doing it, she didn't have any remorse. It wasn't until she was exposed that she felt like she needed to do something to rectify the situation, which ended up her taking Selena's life. Earlier this week, I woke up about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had this strong dream. And immediately when I woke up, it was like this sense of this the jealousy and the competition that you receive sometimes when God gives you a mission or assignment or starts to change your life. And it brought me back to the scripture where it was just talking about jealousy being cooler than the grave. And I didn't understand. And so it was just like this week, God opened up my eyes to allow me to see that for the past 10 years, as I have been trying to pursue certain things in my life, the people that I have been connecting with or have decided to allow in my life have battled with a sense of jealousy and competition. So for the past week, he has made me isolate and spend time to myself. And he sent people to me. And when I tell you, I mean, I'm at an event. I didn't even know this lady. We sat down, we had a conversation. He sent a word through her. I went to the library, I picked up a book, I read the back of the caption of the book. It was a word on the back of the book. I was talking to a couple other people. It was like three other people, actually five, and they all said the same thing. And when I tell you God is not playing, He knows the attacks that you go through as a strong person. He will send direction, He will send correction, and He expects you to take heed because they are warning signs. So, in doing that, taking the warning signs, oh my, it was so hurtful this weekend for Him to expose certain things, certain character flaws, not only in other people, but also in myself, my propensity to connect with people that don't necessarily have heartfelt motives towards me. So, like I said, the attacks are deliberate. And sometimes it seems like it's the same attack, but it just seems like it get closer and closer to home. What he also showed me that for strong people is that they can't always talk about what they're going through with other people from fear that they are the ones that are going to either betray them, lie on them. This is a trust issue. Strong people have been hurt so much. And it, like I said, it's all with the intention to break you down, eventually to where you die off or die out to where you don't even want to do what God is telling you to do or your commission or what you have a mission to do. So, strong people are hurt a lot. They're lied on, their character maligned, their missions misunderstood, their strength, you know, downplayed. And all that will wear on a person daily. The opinions of people. When people come back and give advice that they shouldn't even be talking about because they don't know exactly what it is that God has you doing. I'm able to talk about this openly and freely today because this is something I've gone through for the past 10 years. And God brought me to this place on Friday. And I was literally sitting there like, what is this? What is this heaviness? Why do I feel the way that I feel? And he basically showed me that when you are a strong person, you will have gifts and talents. You will have capacity to do things that other people may not be able to do. And that is a blessing. However, he also was showing me that you are a human being. You are not a human doing, which means that people have a propensity to use you. You have to where people don't necessarily see you and what you need. And sometimes you don't always want to be that person that has those gifts and talents, but you can't shake them off. And a lot of times people will use you for your gifts and talents. If you're a counselor, if you're someone that has a great skill of listening, if you are somebody that loves to help other people, whether it be through monetary gifts, I'm sorry, or watching their kids, or just being some type of support to them. People are very predatory and they will prey on what you love to do. Um, and that is very hurtful. So, what happens is they use the gift, but they forget about the person that has the gift. And now I am learning that the most important thing that you can ever have, and I'm also going to give you guys a couple tips that help because it took me to have to actually be broken, to actually have to be sat down in order to understand what God was actually trying to convey to me. I did a post the other day and it says, to the woman reading this with a restless soul and an aching heart, I want you to know that sometimes you have to break down in order to break through. And that was on my heart because many times you will get caught up in the cycle of doing, and you will forget about yourself because it feels good to see other people smile and happy and be so grateful that you helped them. But then you, as a strong person, have lost the capacity to even be able to say, I need help myself. So what I did this weekend was I didn't do a lot. I basically just more or less tried to stay in the house. I didn't cook. I ordered things. Just spent time with myself to try to understand. Well, if I'm a strong person, why do I feel so weak right now? And it's because a lot of times people are coming and they're tapping into your soul and they're taking things such as time and it takes a lot to conversate with somebody when you're helping them. You have to get to a point where you can go past yourself in order to help someone else. But when you're consistently and constantly doing that and you're in need, that is unhealthy when you do not have a balance. So to me, I'll explain to you what balance means to me. Balance is being able to say no. Balance is being able to shut down and shut away without feeling guilty, that you need that time to yourself. Balance is understanding that as you're walking the tightrope of life, that you have things that you have to hold on to, but you have to get to the other side. And in order to do that, you can't look backwards because you're going to fall. You definitely don't want to look down because the height of where you currently are at may scare you at times because it's like, how did I even get up here? You have to keep your eyes forward as you balance your life, letting things, people, problems, and situations fall off when it is needed. I was thinking about the tree this weekend, how there are leaves that fall away in the season. There are branches as to when they are weak, they fall off. Then I was thinking about the roots, the people, the roots, I basically correlated to people, your support system that are deep in the ground with you, that are not going anywhere. Sometimes those people are people that other people don't even see, that are behind you, praying for you, walking with you, interceding for you, believing on your behalf for you to sprout into this beautiful, flourishing, strong tree. But the winds do blow and the storm does come. And unfortunately, at times, it is people bringing storms into your life. One of the hardest things to ever realize is when your season shifts. I also put another post up that talked about shifting environmentally, shifting mentally, shifting emotionally. And that is a component of being able to let other people go. I said, when God is extending peace, He will change networks, associations, and environments. And this is very difficult because it seems like with common sense, that's why I say sometimes common sense can be a curse, because sometimes the things that God is doing goes past your capacity to have common sense, which means that you won't be able to think about it. It won't make sense to you. He'll literally start changing things and moving things and shifting things and putting things in and literally bringing completion to that thousand-piece puzzle that seems like it's been so out of whack for so many years. So today, this podcast is dedicated for those that are strong, that everybody leans on you, everybody calls you, everybody needs you around, everybody just wants your attention, everybody just wants to either just be there because they feel that your spirit, even just your spirit, you being around, the happiness and joy that you bring revives them. But it has drained you. It has drained you to the point where Monday starts. The work week is going to start tomorrow. Maybe you got to take the kids to school or help them with their homework because some are homeschooling. And you just don't feel like you have the capacity to do it. This message today is for you, for the strong. So I'm going to give you some solutions in hopes that it will help you, because it did help me. And I'm going to have to implement these new strategies because wherever you're going, wherever you have to get to, and whatever you're meant to do, you have a mission. Now is not the time to give up. Now is not the time to falter. Now is not the time to shrink back. And now is not the time to die out. With that being said, I have three solutions for you, and I want you to think about them today on this Sunday because we have some downtime because it's Sunday. And maybe you can listen to this while you're at work or while you're driving. Hopefully, it helps you because it's most certainly helped me. Solution number one: be honest about your needs and the fact that you need help. It does not make you weak if you need help. It does not make you a horrible person if you are not able to carry everybody's burdens. It does not make you a horrible person to say no. It's healthy to say no. I always say no is a vocabulary word. It is meant to be said, it is meant to be utilized. Solution number one was be honest about your needs and the fact that you need help. Solution number two: being vulnerable isn't a weakness. As strong people, we have the capacity to hold a lot, to carry a lot. And when we get to that place where it's like, oh my God, you sometimes don't want to tell anybody because everybody is looking at you like, okay, well, what's your problem? You're crying. What's your problem? You don't look too good today. Well, did they ever question why you don't? Because everybody is coming and laying everything on you. I had to learn that being vulnerable isn't a weakness. Crying isn't a weakness. Feeling exhausted to where you have to lay out and give yourself some self care and nurture is not a weakness. The weakness is knowing it and not allowing it to take place, not allowing that moment where you feel like, man, I am really breaking. Be vulnerable. You know, the world and society says don't be strong, keep going, blah, blah, blah. But when you die out, people are like, oh, I wonder what happened because you didn't take the time. You didn't take the time to nurture yourself and you didn't make other people aware, hey, I'm tired. So, solution number two, being vulnerable is not a weakness. And the last one on our list, we all need help. We all need help, and there is strength in numbers. Sometimes, as a strong person, you feel like there's nobody that you can correlate with, connect with, because it's like, who even understands what I'm going through, let alone who cares? And now we are in a time where it's like so many different things are going on that it just seems like people just don't care. That's not true. I was listening to Stephen Furtick this morning, and he was saying that with David, when he was in need, God didn't send an angel, God sent a person. So a lot of times God will send you what you need, but because, excuse me, it is so unnormal or uncommon for you to even ever have any help. Sometimes you can reject the very blessing that God is putting in your life. So, solution number three, we all need help and there's strength in numbers. With all this being said, I pray that you are being honest about what you need when you need help. I pray that when you need to have that vulnerable moment to either talk, cry, or release something, that you're able to do it and you don't feel like a weak person because you had a vulnerable moment. And last, I pray that in this season of your life, when God is doing new things for you and changing things, that you allow Him to send you help. And not only that you allow it, that you accept it as a gift of His grace. That doesn't make you a bad person because you can't handle everything and juggle everything. Think about the tightrope as the man is walking or the woman is walking across. And they have 5,000 things to juggle and they're losing it. They're going to lose their grip. They're going to slip and they're going to fall. A lot of times people come into your life at the right time simply to help you not fall as you are walking your path. So, this podcast is dedicated to the strong ones. I'm pulling up on you, I'm checking on you, I'm praying for you. Send this podcast to somebody because more common than not, people are going through it more than what we think and are not saying anything. People are having mental problems, mental breakdowns. But I think sometimes when you have certain breakdowns, it is also a blessing in disguise because you have breakthroughs. So, thank you so much for tuning into today's podcast. My name is Patricia Tomlinson. You are more than welcome to subscribe to the channel, share this with somebody. You can reach me at Instagram at _ Patricia Tomlinson, Facebook as Patricia Tomlinson. Do not forget about the blog, which is Patricia's blog. And as well as thank you to everyone that recently purchased the book Succumb. There is going to be more to come with that wonderful adventure that I have embarked upon. So enjoy your day. Do something for yourself. Show some love to yourself if you need to, take the time, but also do not forget to show love to others. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and I will be back with more shortly. God bless you, everybody. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to tonight's podcast. My name is Patricia Tomlinson, and I'm your host for this evening. I am so excited about this subject that I am about to get into with you in a couple moments. But before I do, Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to link up with me on Instagram and Facebook. On Instagram, I'm underscore Patricia Tomlinson. On Facebook, I'm just simply Patricia Tomlinson, all the same thing, just to make it a little bit easier. Also, do not forget to listen to or go and check out my latest blogs. I've had some wonderful subjects and conversations with some men that have been interested in giving their opinion pertaining to things that happen to men that go unheard of or unsaid. So, check that out at Patricia's blog at wordpress.com. Also, do not forget that recently I have relaunched my latest book, Succumb: The Ending to the Beginning. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on this content. It took me 10 years to glean all the wisdom that was needed to write this book. So trust me, it is worth your purchase. It is worth every dollar. It is worth every moment that you're going to take, which I know is precious to you in regards to time, to sit down and read it. Trust me, you're going to learn something. You're going to gain some wisdom or insight pertaining to your life. The beautiful thing about this book is that it's not only for women. There are some nuggets and information for you guys as well, for you men as well, that you can take and share with somebody else. After all, isn't that what we're here for? To share the good news with somebody? So, welcome, welcome, welcome. When you are done with this podcast, do not forget to share it with somebody. Do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to leave feedback and comment. So, what is the subject that I am so excited to talk to you guys about today? So, the name of this podcast is going to be called The Eagle's Flight. So, normally in the morning, I have about a 20 to 25-minute commute to work. I take this time to pray, to get my mind together, to prepare to go in for the workday. And today my schedule changed. So, of course, I got there a little bit early, which is always good. So, as I was sitting in the car, I did a small snippet version of a video that I was going to upload to Instagram this morning. It was basically detailing about different friendships. At the moment, I did not release that podcast, but I didn't understand why. It was because during the day, I got more insight and revelation in regards to that smaller portion of that video that I wanted to do, which led me to actually do this one this evening. So, the most ironic part is when I was coming home, I know that this bird was not an eagle. Okay, it wasn't an eagle, it wasn't a bald eagle. However, it was a bird. And when I thought about the title Eagle's Flight, for some reason, I look up on the highway coming home, and it is a bird literally soaring so gracefully, so lighthearted, and just seemed unbothered and unmoved, not even by the elements of the cold and the snow or anything else that was going on, not the traffic, not the hundreds of thousands of cars that were moving up and down the highway. This bird, whatever bird it was unbothered. So let's get into it. So, the eagle's flight. We understand that there are different seasons that come and occur in people's lives. For some reason, believe that I have been in a transition for the past 5 months. It always starts around fall time. Things start falling off. People start falling off. Places start falling off. I always say if you can get away from people, places, and things, you are in a good position. So at the time, it was October. I was starting some new things. I didn't quite understand, but I know that the transition was hard. I was not where I was going yet, but I wasn't where I was prior to starting in the transition. So we're about mid February at this time. So this started about mid October. So, of course, we know that we have the season in the wintertime when everything looks dead, it looks drab, no vegetation or any fruit seems like they seem to be growing, nothing seems to be happening. You guys, this is so detrimental to me because around December, it is my birthday. So just imagine how I feel on my birthday. I'm getting new revelation for the new season. However, there is nothing occurring in my life that looks remotely like what I'm going to be going into. And that's a lot of times what transitions do. They trick you. They trick you up and you end up going back to something, someplace, or someone that you should not be around. That is not what is meant to happen. Whenever you get a vision for your life, you are meant to write it out and you are meant to stay the course and persevere. You are meant to be steadfast. You are not meant to waver. Okay, this is why it is good to have a vision board. This is why it is good to have clear and concise either directions and or steps that you're going to take to obtain this goal. Do not get me wrong. When you are walking and you can't see things visibly, they are not in your plain view at that time, you still should keep making forward strides because you're going to end up at that place. So when I thought about the transition, okay, you're not where you were, you're not where you're going yet. It's like you're in the middle, okay? And I noticed that a lot of things fell off, okay? And I didn't understand that. Some of the things that fell off were very, very, very hard for me to let go of. But I knew what God was saying. I knew He was telling me that I had to do it. I knew that He preferred me to do it. And I also, you know how you are, when you're out and about, you need direction. Sometimes it could come through a poster board. It could come through, sometimes I actually get mine through license plates. It was so funny when I was down in Columbus visiting for a vacation. I looked at this license plate and it literally said, "I'm grown." And that made me laugh because I did feel like I had a new stride of adulthood and maturity in my life on that particular day. Nevertheless, during this time, a lot of things were falling off. And what I want to say about that is when you have a new vision and a goal for your life, old weight, dead situations, circumstances, and relationships have to fall off. Okay. It is not comfortable when you first start because those people that were in your life, those things that may have satiated or caused relief, will no longer suffice in your next season, in your next mission, in your next job, in your next relationship. Whatever goal it is that you're going for, it is not going to work. So they fall off. And it is because when you go to your next level, when you go to your next dimension, those things which held you in that previous are not going to help you in your next. Okay. That's just like a person that is an addict or has been traumatized. Okay. They decide that, okay, I don't want to be a person that's an addict anymore. What do? They decide I need to stay away from these people. I don't need to go to these places. I don't need to do these things. Okay. Another example, a woman that is in a relationship, maybe the previous one was abusive. I don't want to talk to this person anymore. Maybe I don't want to go to the same places anymore. I don't want to hang around the same associations anymore. Starting a business, if you were an employee going into a business, or maybe you're doing both at the same time, you know that you need more discipline, you need to get more rest so you're up and ready for when the time comes that you need to take care of things. Because when you're a business owner, nobody actually makes you do your business. Like one of my friends, she gave me a great analogy. She said, when you have an employee, you go to work to make money. She said, when you are a business owner, you have to go and find work for the money to come to you. So that's a little bit more discipline. It's a little bit more diligence, steadfastness that you need in order to obtain those goals. When you think about when your season changes, the weight and the burden that you have to carry in your next time of life, in that next season, maybe you're going to go back to college. Maybe in this season you're going to have children or you're going to get married. The weight of your burden that you have to carry increases. And some people can't handle that. And this is why I firmly understand now why it is imperative for us as people to be able to let people go, because they're not going to be able to handle it. Your weight might increase. Sometimes your stress level may increase. Sometimes you're more tired. Sometimes you're a little bit more cranky. And you might need a person, a confidant there to talk to you about it. Therefore, they're able to handle you and treat you right and speak gentle words to you. Whereas the person from the last season, depending on what you were dealing with, may get frustrated in your new adventures, mandates, and commissions on your life. Some people can't handle that when you get these new things. And so things may happen, circumstances may happen, and inevitably, it will push you two away from each other. It will separate you. But you have to understand that even in that time of separation, you are never without what you need. There are so many resources, so many people, so many new connections, associations, and networks that you can make when you let the old things go. I am literally living this right now. And for discretion purposes, I will not release everything, but I will literally tell you that there is a momentum taking place as you let go and shed dead weight, people, places, and things, habits, or mindsets that will not aid you in this next season. You're going to take the ego's flight. If you think about it, it can literally be people that are weighing you down. Okay, so you have to make the determining factor. If you want to soar, if you want to fly gracefully without any strain, anything pulling you down, you have to make the decision that you're going to let these things go. When I think about the ego, I think about weightless height, which leads to victory. And what do I mean by that? Weightless height. Okay, so when the ego is about to take flight, its wings mount up, which means that it puts its wings in the air to flap down, which is actually going to help it propel up and forward. Okay. Weightless. If this ego has bricks, which can be people's problems, if it has boulders, which can be your own anxiety, fear, lack of faith, or motivation, if it has strings, which can be your mentality of what you have about your life and how it's going to go, your outlook and your perspective. If it has chains, which would be bondage, things that you can't let go of, insecurities you can't get past, or any of those things holding it down, it cannot get to the optimal altitude that it needs to get to. If you take some of the weight off, meaning other people's business, issues, drama, and chaos, you will feel lighter. And what I equate that to is I noticed that, as well as myself, a lot of people battle with codependency, which is when you take on other people's issues and problems as if they are your own, to the point where you are not able to focus and or navigate through your life to create and maintain a level of success. Meaning, you always and perpetually get weighed down by other people, their issues, their problems, even conversations. I kid you not, I was somewhere today and I was just listening and I was observing, and I heard a lady say that just from listening to a woman tell her story or go back and forth or however she was in regards to sharing the information, she was drained. An ego does not have time to sit there and let someone continue to go circulatorily or just in cycles about their lives, things that are weighing them down. You have to make stern decision. Eagles, when I think about it, I mean, they're not my favorite creature or anything like that, but for some reason, I have developed a love for the eagle. For one, they fly alone. Once they get up there, they soar and it's so graceful. And to watch them, it's the most beautiful experience. I've had a couple times where I've been in different places and saw different birds just gliding so gracefully and effortlessly. I mean, once they hit that first flap or whatever you want to call it in regards to when, their wings go down and it propels them and thrusts them, it lasts them for a good minute. The wind is beneath their wings. They are not focused on circumstances, meaning the weather, chaos, meaning traffic, or storms around them. Eagles can actually weather the storm. When I also think about eagles, they have a time from when they're actually in the womb, birthed, then they grow, and then they're able to fly at the altitude. That made me think about being as a child. And when you have childhood trauma, like say for instance, you have been molested or raped or abandoned by your parents or rejected by your family, or you suffer from isolation or suicide or a number of things. It is very hard as an ego to take those burdens up in the air with you. If you think about it, air, you can fall through air depending on if you're heavy. So the purpose of us understanding this podcast about the ego's flight is to get you light-hearted, light in your mind as far as how you think, how you process information, how your perspective as far as life to get you light, no weight, so that you're able to soar through life. Eagles, they have taken the time as children, or let's just say baby eagles, to shake off all the extra weight as an adult so they can gracefully soar. So, with that being said, on this podcast, which was very brief, I don't think that it took forever for me to explain this to you. What I want to convey and help you understand and to digest and put in your mind is that eagles take flight because they've done the work. They have prepared themselves in order to be able to mount up. Mount up, meaning they are ready to soar, meaning that they have released and let go of any type of baggage, anything that will prevent them from going to a new altitude. If you think about it, to be on the ground, that is foundation, that is ground zero. That is where a lot of us start. And sometimes underneath our foundation, there are things, circumstances, mindsets, ideas, relationships that have dug roots and chains and put strings on us that prevent us from being able to move forward. But if you think about the eagle, they have no baggage, no chains, no strings, no boulders, bricks, or bondage holding them down. So today I want you to take a couple perspectives from this podcast as we're about to wrap up. I want you to think about what issues are currently going on in your life that are preventing you from soaring. Is it a relationship that you need to let go of? Is it a habit that you need to let go of? Is it a mindset of how you think about yourself, the world, society, other people that you need to let go of? Is it a time in your life that you were very desperate and you did some things that you shouldn't have that you need to let go of? Is it a time in your life where you can't forgive yourself for some things that you know you should have did but you didn't? Either way, I want you to listen to me. There's a time for everything. There's a time to let go of things. There's a time to hold on. There's a time to love, to hate. There's a time to cry. There's a time to smile. However, I believe there's always a time to let go of heaviness. Is depression holding you down? Anxiety, fear, lack of faith? Do you still have trauma from your childhood that you need to let go of? Do you have unforgiveness or regret? Whatever your issue is, I always tell people when I talk to them, you are not the problem. You have a problem. Because when you get to the point where you want to heal and you are better, you actually let the problem go. So when we think about the eagle today and the flight that it needs to take and the momentum to reach the altitude that it needs to, it cannot do so if it is way down. So with that being said, I want you to think about some ways and or methods that you can help yourself to cope in life as well as shake off some of the heaviness that you're carrying. I really, really, really want you guys to understand that as you listen to this podcast mentally at this moment, because of everything that is going on in society, in the world, people are literally falling under the weight of what's going on in their mind daily, mentally. If there are things that you need to do to get these things off of you, there are so many things that you can do. And in my book, Succumb, if you purchase the book, you will see that the character Vanessa had a lot of things weighing her down. However, she found ways to cope. She found ways to not just survive, to thrive. She found ways to get away from people, places, and things that were of no benefit to her. She found a new life. She lived a life that she probably should not have lived because of the circumstances that she came from. She finally got to the point where she took the eagle's flight and soared. And that is the message for today, ladies and gentlemen. Do not forget to subscribe to the podcast. Do not forget to share this with somebody else. Do not forget to share the good news. I mean, people are really going through it at this point in time. You know, a lot of people are not happy. A lot of people are miserable. But through social media, there is a portrayal that seems as though everything is okay because we take a picture, which is just a second of what's going on in our lives and in our lifetime. So make someone smile today. You know, if you're smiling, smile with somebody else or smile at somebody. I know a lot of times when I'm walking around, I'll just give this smile and to make other people smile. Do something else for somebody else. Do something for yourself. So into yourself. Whatever you have to do, make sure that you take the eagle's flight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with me today for this podcast. It was definitely impromptu. It was not planned. However, I'm always happy to share some type of information in regards to your life and how it can be better. Do not forget to link up with me on social media. Instagram is _ Patricia Tomlinson. On Facebook, it's just Patricia Tomlinson. Don't forget the blog, which is Patricia's blog at WordPress. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. And most importantly, you guys, do not forget to take the opportunity to purchase the books that come on Amazon. If you are interested in doing so, please DM me or personal message me. And there is a link for my email where you can connect with me through any platform. And I'll be willing to give you, let's just say a special. If you really want to know how to take the Eagle's flight, you're interested, I will definitely look into doing something special for some of you guys that have or will reach out to me. Thank you to the ones that have already purchased the book. It just brings my heart such joy to be able to write such content and help people in a storyline. So, have a good evening, everybody. Do something for yourself. And don't forget to share the good news. Have a good night, everybody. Hello, everybody. It is Patricia Tomlinson. I want to welcome you to the dialogue. So today, I promise I get all my inspirations now when I'm in the car and I'm driving. I don't know if it's because there is movement behind driving, if there is because there is momentum, or if it's because of my mind. I don't know what it is, but a lot of the revelation that I have been getting lately has been in pursuit or en route to somewhere. So that could also possibly be what's going on in my life. I'm en route to somewhere, and because of that, the revelation is coming as I am moving. So I want to tell you that there is power in your steps, the steps that you take by faith. However, that is not the purpose of this dialogue podcast today. The name of this podcast is I Am a Me I've Never Seen. I am a me I've never seen. If you make it personal or telling to someone else, you can say, I am a me you've never seen. A lot of times when we look at ourselves, we go from outside to inside, meaning that we look at newspapers or Instagram or social media, and we will look at the things that we want from other people and wish that they were on ourselves. We understand that in the past 10 to 15 years, there has been a huge identity crisis with women and surgery and just wanting to have this body and an image that is costing a lot of people and women their lives. However, today I want to talk about the process of development that happens as you go through adversity, as you go through trials and tribulations and from transitions. So lately I've been podcasting about transitions. When you start at a place, meaning that you start with a vision and a goal, and you write out the vision and the goal, and then as you're going through the transition, sometimes the middle ground, it looks nothing like what you started with. And then there's a part when you're about to get your breakthrough where it just gets really rocky, really uncomfortable, extremely weird, and maybe even more chaotic than what it was before. And then you hit the threshold of arrival. And arrival never feels like what it's supposed to. I mean, we've heard
A lot of celebrities, a lot of famous people, even people in businesses state that when you get there, it's not going to feel like anything that you expected. For one, because the transition probably wore you out and tired you out so much in hopes to get you to quit, that by the time you arrive, you're mentally, emotionally, spiritually exhausted. And so I believe after you arrive, there is a waiting period for you to regroup and get yourself back together. And then after that waiting period, you start to see the purpose of everything that has occurred from beginning to end. And when you come out of it, yes, you've lost some friendship, you've lost some relationship, maybe some job, maybe some opportunities. But at the end of it, you'll see why a lot of things that you lost, you had to. Because inevitably, when we start out with these missions and these goals, the goal sometimes is to acquire maybe materialistic things or possessions, and that's fine. But before you could get those things, or even while you're obtaining them, you have to become the person that is able to manage those things. That's just like, for instance, a person going from an apartment to a house. Okay, and I'll raise my hand because that is something that occurred in my life. Okay, so from an apartment to a house, you have more room, you have more space, but you also have more responsibility. You may have more levels. That takes more time. It takes more patience to clean and keep everything in order because there's more space. However, during the transition, the space grew in you, meaning that you outgrew the small place that you were in to take over a bigger and a larger territory. So your mind had to expand. You start out with a beginning goal, you go through the middle, you hit the rocky road before the breakthrough, boom, you get the breakthrough. And now you start to see why you had to wait. But they always tell you at the beginning, it's not about arriving at the end. They tell you to enjoy the process because it's when you're learning about yourself, you're developing character, you're learning what you will and won't do, what's appropriate to say and what not to say. Your discernment is probably increasing. Your confidence is increasing. Yes, things are coming up against you, but they're falling and being defeated because you're changing and you're transforming. You're not the same person that will run from a battle. You're like a David. You're going to stand up in the middle of the battle and say, who is this uncircumcised Philistine that defies the armies of the Lord? Because it's not time to run anymore. Where are you running to? Sometimes you just got to stand flat-footed and see the salvation of the Lord. It's not time to buckle and be afraid. That's what the transition does. It pulls that fear out of you. It pulls that discouragement out of you. It pulls that hopelessness, that discouragement, that depression. It pulls all of that out of you and you get closer to God. When God says that He knows the plans that He has that are good for you, to give it an expected end, a future, and a hope, to do you no harm, and I'm paraphrasing, that's for a purpose, because He knows by the time that you get to the end of the thing, you're a different person at the end of it. You're not that same timid little person that's going to allow people to walk over you and talk to you like you're nothing. You know your significance. You know your worth now. You know your value now. So you know that if things and people disappear, it's because they didn't value you. It doesn't matter. That just means somebody's coming in their stead, in their place. This is so funny. I am literally driving behind this car and the word says, and able. And it reminds me of that scripture. And God is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. With that being said, at the end, are you a different person that knows that God is able? He is able. I am a new me you've never seen. That person that you've evolved to, nobody's ever seen it. You may even look different in your countenance. Your walk might even be different. Your talk may be more bold and courageous. You may be less fearful to let certain people go out of your life. Right now, you might even be praying that they get ghost. Because you're different. And you want to embody and encompass the fullness of this person that you're meant to be. Because it's your destiny. where you're going, the place that you're meant to arrive to, you're being fought so hard because it's your destiny. And I had to take a long pause for that, because for some of us, destiny has taken us our whole life. Things, trials, tribulations, transitions, chaos, disarray, all have taken place with simply the purpose of transforming you into the person that can handle the destiny that is on your life, the call that is on your life, the purpose that is on your life. I am a new me you've never seen. And this is where God gets glory, because I firmly believe that we come out of the womb backwards, meaning that by the time we get to destiny, we're nothing like who we were when we came out of the womb. For me, I was very timid, very shy. Walking through the cafeteria in high school just shot my nerves. I had anxiety. I was fearful. It was so much that went on in my house as a child, to where I just almost ran all the time. Like, oh, I don't have to deal with this. I don't have to call you. I cut you off. That's running. Passive aggressiveness is a form of running as well. You think that you're cutting people off and that is healthy. No, speaking up for yourself and making that person aware of how they have offended you makes you healthy, because you don't sit on it and harbor on it and let it ruminate in your mind over hours out of the day and become bitter. I am a new me you've never seen. Who is this person that you want to become? Because at the end of the day, we all seem to like ourselves until we arrive at that new place of the new person we are, and then we love ourselves. I say all this to say, every battle was worth it. Every loss, every misfortune, it was worth it. It was worth it not to stay in situations and circumstances and jobs and around people that were not going to allow me to become the authentic version of who I was meant to become. It was worth it. I counted all joy for every loss, because it really was a gain. So, I want to challenge you today. If you are in a transition and you're close to coming out, keep going. If you are starting a vision and you don't know how it's going to work out, keep going. If you are at the end and you're tired, keep going. That something happened like that to me the other day. I kid you not, I was drop dead tired. I took a minute, I expressed how I felt, and I persevered through. And it's showing me something about myself. Anything that I want in life, I'm going to get it, because I'm going to persevere through it. Because I want to see what's on the other side. I want to see that new me that be like, okay, well, I'm just giving up because it ain't working anyway. A chronic failure, just continuously giving up because nobody ever showed me blueprint of how to keep going. These are generational issues that I'm talking about. Generational curses that have lied dormant in my family for years, that are breaking simply because when it gets hard and it gets weird and it gets awkward, I decide to keep going and not give up. So I just want to get on for a few minutes and encourage somebody through my testimony. This literally just changed for me overnight. It was coming into that point, but it literally just changed overnight. As I'm making continual decisions to keep going, keep persevering, things are breaking off. Things that can't stay won't stay. People that are meant to come back are coming back. People that are meant to leave, they're leaving, because you can't be around me for the person that I used to be, because a lot of people get comfortable with that version of you, but that's not the real you. Some people have walked away because you've changed and they don't know what to do with you. I am a new me I've never seen. I've never seen this version of myself. And I'm a new me that you've never seen. Welcome to the new beginning. So I want you guys to be encouraged. Replay this over if you have to. Think about it. Take some time. Meditate. Ask the Lord, who am I authentically at my core? Okay? Enjoy yourselves, and I will be back with more conversation on the dialogue.